At the beginning of Chinese civilization, rulers did not unite people only through armies or laws. They used belief that ancient tribal leaders raised totems, held rituals, and offered sacrifices to mysterious powers. Through ritual, belief was creation. Through belief, scattered tribes became one people. The Shang dynasty was said to worship the sacred blackbird. From this came the legend that the Shang people were born from the mysterious bird. After Shang King Zhou Zhou inherited many old rituals. But by the late Zhou period, royal power weakened. Powerful states rose across the land. This was the spring and autumn period. Old ritual power moved away from the royal court and entered society. Shamans, scholars, local rulers, and thinkers all began to compete. Then came the 100 schools of thought, one of the greatest intellectual ages in Chinese history. Different teachers asked the same questions. How should people live? How should rulers govern? What is the order of heaven, earth, and human life? From this age came the deep foundation of Chinese culture. The two most famous sages were Confucius and Laozi. Confucius became the heart of Confucianism. Laozi became the source of Daoist thought. Later tradition even says the two men once met. Their followers built to different paths. Confucianism looked towards society. It taught people to become moral gentlemen, wise officials, and loyal servants of the state. Daoist thought looked beyond society. It valued nature, simplicity, quietness, and freedom from worldly struggle. Confucians entered government. Daoist thinkers often turned toward mountains, forests, and private cultivation. At that time, Taoism was mainly a philosophy. It was not yet a powerful organized religion. It had no unified church, no fixed priesthood, and no complete system of worship. Before the Qin Empire was founded, the statesman Le Bouillet compiled the Lushi Chanchu, a collection of ideas from many schools. It included thoughts from Laozi and Zhuangzi. Zhao's philosophy was open, flexible, and deeply abstract. Because of this, many other schools borrowed from us. Then Qin fell, the Han dynasty rose. After years of war, the early Han rulers needed peace, recovery, and population growth. Should they follow the Daoist style policy, reduce pressure, avoid harsh rule, and let the people rest? This helped create the famous rule of Wen and Jin, one of the early golden ages of Han China. But Daoist thought was also loose and hard to control. Under Emperor Wu of Han, Confucianism became the official ideology of government. From then on, Confucianism ruled the political world. Daoist thought was pushed down, absorbed, and reshaped. If nothing major had happened, Daoist philosophy might have remained only one tradition among many. But history changed direction. A new religion came from India thought and forced China to create something of its own. During the Eastern Han Dynasty, Buddhism entered China from India. For ancient Chinese people, Buddhism opened a new way to understand the world. It brought karma, rebirth, suffering, liberation, monks, temples, scriptures, and organized worship. Before Buddhism, China already had many beliefs. People worshipped ancestors, mountains, rivers, stars, heaven, earth, and local gods. Ancient texts speak of divine figures like Donghuan Taiyi and Yin-Yang Jun. But China did not yet have a native religion equal to Buddhism. There were philosophies, rituals, and shamans. But there was no unified religious system. The arrival of Buddhism created pressure. Chinese thinkers began to gather the strengths of native traditions. They used Daoist ideas of quietness, simplicity, and non-action as the core. They drew from Chinese medicine, breathing exercises, alchemy, longevity practices, and the search for immortality. They borrowed from Yin-Yang theory and the 5 elements. They absorbed ancestor worship, local spirit rituals, mountain worship, star observation, feng shui, and ancient shamanic ceremonies. They also learned from Buddhist temples, scriptures, and rituals. Out of this process, Chinese religious Taoism took shape. Taoism was not simply the same as Daoist philosophy. Daoist philosophy came from Laozi and Zhuangzi. Religious Taoism built priests, temples, rituals, scriptures, gods, heavens, underworlds, and methods of spiritual cultivation. Laozi was honored as a divine founder. Zhuangzi became a great sage. The Yellow Emperor and other legendary rulers were also connected to Daoist belief. Around them, Taoism built a rich world of gods, immortals, spirits, and cosmic forces. The most famous early organizer was Zhang Daoling. He lived in the Eastern Han Dynasty and founded the movement later called the Way of the Celestial Masters, also known as the Five Packs of Rice movement. Zhang Daoling honored Laozi as the highest divine figure. From this point, Taoism became a formal religion. Early Taoism still used the Tao Te Ching and Zhuangzi as its roots, but it also developed practices beyond philosophy. In the Han period, stories about emperors and sages becoming immortals were popular. People dreamed of flying into heaven, escaping death, and living as long as the universe. So early Taoism focused strongly on becoming immortal. One path focused on breathing and inner cultivation. Practitioners used meditation, breath control, and health practices to extend life. Another path focused on alchemy. It used herbs, minerals, fasting, and special medicines in the hope of achieving immortality. A third path involved sexual cultivation, using the union of yin and yang to control vital energy. Later, Taoism would reform itself. Some old practices would be removed, new rules would appear, and under the influence of Buddhism and Confucianism, Taoism would become more organized, more disciplined, and more powerful. By the northern and southern dynasties, Taoism had become a major religion among the people. But Buddhism had deeply influenced it. Ancient China had never seen a religious system as complete as Indian Buddhism. So Daoist leaders began to reform their own tradition. During the Northern Wei dynasty, a Daoist master named Kou Qianzhi reformed the Celestial Master tradition. He removed practices seen as outdated or harmful. He reduced the old rice payment rule for joining the movement. He rejected sexual rites that no longer fit the new direction of Taoism. He absorbed Buddhist ideas such as karma, rebirth, heavens, and hells. At the same time, he borrowed from Confucianism. Loyalty, filial piety, discipline, and moral behavior became part of Daoist rules. Daoists were told not to use religion as an excuse for rebellion. This reformed Taoism combined native Chinese thought, Buddhist structure, and Confucian social ethics. Emperor Taiwu of Northern Wei strongly supported Taoism and honored Kou Qianzhi as a national religious teacher. By this stage, Taoism's mythology, belief system, and religious form were becoming mature. Later, in the Tang dynasty, Taoism rose again. The Tang imperial family had the surname Li. Because Laozi's personal name was Li, Tang emperors claimed Laozi as an honored ancestor. This gave Taoism powerful imperial support. Taoist temples, texts, rituals, and priests spread widely across China. But success also made Taoism more complex. Different Taoist schools appeared in different regions. Some were based on sacred mountains, such as Maoshan, Huoshan, Laoshan, Qincheng, and Wudang. Some were based on founding masters, such as Zhang Sanfeng or Dongbing. Others became larger traditions, including Quanzhen and Zhuangzi. As these schools spread into villages, Taoism became part of everyday life, but it also absorbed local customs everywhere it went. Local shamans, healers, funeral rites, protection rituals, exorcisms, and folk ceremonies entered Taoist practice. Taoist priests became ritual specialists. They performed ceremonies for protection, healing, funerals, blessings, and spiritual comfort. Many Maoshan practices for driving away ghosts and evil spirits came from much older shamanic traditions. After the Tang dynasty, one of the most important Daoist movements was Quanzhen. Quanzhen was founded by Wang Changyan during the Jing period. Unlike schools that focused mainly on Laozi, Quanzhen promoted the unity of the three teachings, Confucianism, Buddhism, and Taoism. It believed all three pointed toward the same great truth. Quanzhen also had strict rules. Monks and nuns could not marry or have children. This was different from the Zhenyi tradition, where Taoist priests could still have families. After Wang Changyan, the most famous Quanzhen leader was Qiu Chuji. His life would connect Taoism with one of the most powerful rulers in world history, Genghis Khan. Genghis Khan heard of Qiu Chuji and summoned him. With 18 disciples, Qiu Chuji traveled for more than 2 years across thousands of miles to meet the Mongol ruler. When Genghis Khan asked him about the Tao, Qiu Chuji did not promise magic. He did not offer the secret of immortality. Instead, he advised the ruler to reduce killing, respect heaven, care for the people, and control his desires. This became one of the most famous stories in Daoist history. The next year, Genghis Khan granted Qiu Chuji special authority and exempted Quanzhen Taoists from many duties. From then on, Quanzhen grew quickly and became one of the leading Daoist traditions. But Taoism's rise also created conflict. During the Yuan dynasty, Daoists and Buddhists entered a major debate. Some Daoists used Laozi converts the barbarians to claim Buddhism had been taught by Laozi. Buddhists strongly rejected this. Under Kublai Khan, Daoist priests and Buddhist monks debated before the court. Taoism lost the debate. Kublai Khan ordered Laozi converts the barbarians to be destroyed. After this, Quanzhen lost much of its dominant position. Taoism no longer had one clear leading school over all others. In later dynasties, Confucianism remained the main system for governing the state. Emperors often supported both Buddhism and Taoism that avoided letting either become too powerful. Taoism returned to a stable social role. It focused on self-cultivation, health, longevity, protection, and local rituals. Over time, many Chinese people saw Taoism as connected with life, health, and longevity. Buddhism was often connected with death, funerals, rebirth, and salvation. In the Ming Dynasty, a famous Taoist figure was Zhang Sanfeng. Tradition says he founded a school on Mount Wudang. Wudang Taoism taught that Confucianism, Buddhism, and Taoism shared the same deep source. But Zhang Sanfeng's Taoism was more practical. He believed Taoists should cultivate themselves and build character. They should not only hide in the mountains. After self-cultivation, they should be ready to help the world. When the nation was in danger, a true Taoist should step forward with compassion. In the end, Taoism became a religion with unmistakably Chinese characteristics. It absorbed philosophy, medicine, alchemy, astrology, feng shui, ancestor worship, local rituals, Buddhist ideas, and Confucian ethics. That is why Taoism can feel complex, that it is not one simple belief. It is a living system built from thousands of years of Chinese culture. It grew from ancient totems and sacrifices. It passed through Laozi and Zhuangzi. It responded to Buddhism. It served emperors, villages, mountains, temples, and ordinary families. Today, Taoism remains a key to understanding Chinese mythology and the spiritual imagination of China. This is the origin and development of Taoism. In the next episode, we continue the Taoist chapter of Chinese mythology.